think every single person on this planet needs to be educated and re-educated about climate change. We are dedicated as the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change to embrace this education issue.
We can look into the eyes of our children, our grandchildren, and we can finally tell them that we have joined hands to bequeath a more habitable world.
L'accord de Paris pour le climat est accepté.
State Congress voted to ban abortion.
Alternate universe located.
Global temperatures rise.
The effects on social media on Generation Z.
To avoid catastrophe, rising sea levels, and dying coral reefs, the epicenter of a global pandemic.
No exception for rape or incest.
Welcome back to the Climate Hub here at Belém, Brazil, COP30. It's wonderful to have our audience with us here during our broadcast. Today we're going to turn in this session our focus to something that really touches all of our lives, and that is food. Because there is so much in this intersection between food and climate that is crucially important. Roughly 10% of the climate emissions globally are connected with food. There's so much food waste going on and all the other aspects of food and the production of food. So this is, of course, a problem, but also an opportunity that we can have fairly rapid change if we really push hard. So very glad to be joined in this session with Claes Orsholm. He is CEO of Savantic, and he's joining us from the Stockholm studio, and he's going to tell us about some of the solutions he has been implementing. So over to Stockholm and to Claes Orsholm.
Yeah, so we have been focusing on food waste at the retailer side, especially fruit and vegetables. Since there's a requirement from us consumer to have fresh and ripe fruit in the stores, there's a huge logistic challenge for the retailers to provide fruit that are ripe and fresh, and that comes with a price of a huge food waste.
So Claes, from everything you see in your work, where on the chain do we, if you can elaborate, where do we lose the most food? And also, why is it such a stubborn problem for retailers and also for producers?
Yeah, the majority part of food waste is at the consumer side, but the waste at the retailer side is also quite a lot and contributes to the climate emissions. The reason why it's a big challenge is that we consumer, we expect to have fresh and food in the stores, and we do not like when the shelves are empty. And that's a logistic challenge to meet that requirement that has a high price of food waste.
So Claes, as I understand it, you have been working with this issue from the retail end. Could you tell us a bit about what you're doing and what solutions you have been working on?
So again, we have been focusing on fruit and vegetables since they contribute a lot to the food waste problem. And the challenge is to predict how long a fruit or vegetable will last, when will it be ripe and when will it be overripe. And the parameters that affect this lifespan comes from production to transport to logistics and out to the store. So for instance, the weather conditions when it's harvested or how it has been transported affects how long the fruit will be fresh. So we have been focusing on collecting data from the history of a fruit, combining that with data from sensors like this one, an AI nose that can smell how ripe a fruit is. And by using AI, we can make very accurate predictions of the lifespan of a fruit or vegetable. And that's an important input in planning and optimizing the logistics of handling the fruit and vegetables that enables reducing the food waste.
This is really cool, Claes. And also, AI is connected to this, of course, but AI is only as good as the data that you're putting into it. So, how big of an issue is data accessibility here when it comes to really fighting food waste? And are you the only solution that has thought of collecting data this way, the way you're doing it?
Yeah, I think this branch is kind of immature when it comes to data and AI. So data is usually scattered a lot and quite difficult to get hold of. It's distributed among many different actors. So yeah, it's been a challenge to collect data and put it in the same place. The quality or the availability of data is good. If you have the data, you can actually do quite good predictions of the lifespan of fruit. But I think it's a key to add sensor information as well to it, and it's a challenge to modify processes and educate people at food reception, for instance, to learn how to use sensors in their processes to make data with good enough quality to make these predictions. But in total, if you manage to gather data and put them in the same place, combining with sensors, there's a good case and good probability to make predictions on this.
If this would be implemented widely, what kind of impact could it have on the food loss globally?
Of fruit and vegetables to have at the retailer site, but I also think it will impact on the consumer waste of fruit and vegetables, since we will have less overripe fruits in our stores, and it's possible to optimize the ripeness of the fruit so that it will last longer once they are bought. Also, I think it will have effect on the producer side and how we handle fruit and vegetables during their life cycle, since we get a good knowledge about what kind of parameters in the handling affects the lifespan of fruit and vegetables, and that can in turn then add requirements from retailer side to producers to increase the lifespan.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Claes. So this is indeed very promising. So, but if you look globally, in the sector of retail and food and fruit and vegetables especially, what sense of interest do you get? Are companies ready to adopt this kind of solutions? So what is your prognosis for the implementation of this great sensor?
I think that retailers, they know this problem. It costs a lot of money, and they know they have the problem. They also know that the current tools and the current processes are not capable of solving this problem. So there's a knowledge that data-driven methods and AI is needed. However, I think these kind of organizations are very immature in using data and AI. That's a threshold that we need to help them to overcome. And I think that it's probably required that we develop products from these kind of prototypes to make it available to companies that are not capable of doing R&D on their own.
Thank you, Carl. Before we finish off this Q&A here, this conversation, could you please explain to us a little bit more detail how it will look in a store? How would what would the consumers notice in terms of this device if they were to run into one?
I don't think they will notice the device itself in the store. They will probably see that the quality is more equal between fruits in the store, that it's unlikely to find overripe fruits and vegetables in the store. This sensor is made for the retailer side to decide where to send fruits. So, for instance, a fruit that is close to be ripe should not be sent far away with the transportation of days. They should be sold closer to the retailer distribution center, of course. So I think as consumers, we will see better fruits that last longer in the stores.
For clarifying that, I have heard of a device that you could check avocados in the store, but this is further up the value chain, so to speak, for the producers to use and not the consumers. Thank you for explaining that. So, Claes, if you look into the future, let's say 10 years, where will we be in terms of protecting and making sure that we won't waste food and put food out in the stores that will be thrown away before the consumers might even be able to buy them? So what are your hopes for the future in this field?
I think that we will be more data-driven in handling our food to prevent food from getting bad or non-fresh when arriving to customers. I think we will be able to optimize the logistics much better when it comes to handling the fruit, in combination of different types of packaging and stuff to make sure the food stays fresh longer. But to have a more dynamic way of handling fruit based on data, how it has been produced, transported, and handled during the process. That's the future.
So thank you very much, Claes. And if you look at the markets that are opening up here, where would you primarily be starting and working with this sensor? Is it in the Western, is it in Europe, or would it be also in the Global South?
I think this is primarily for Europe and the Western world. The distribution challenges are huge here in the Western world, so I think that's where it would make best effort right now. We started with fruit and vegetables, but it's of course easy to translate this into meat industry and other fresh food industries as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much, Claes Orsholm. This is really encouraging to hear that there are solutions ready to be scaled that can help us solve the climate crisis, and we are so delighted to have you on our broadcast. I'm not sure you can hear it on air or in the studio in Stockholm, but there is a massive tropical rain now on the roof of the studio, on the roofs of Berlin, and the rains come in basically every day, and it's extremely loud. So I hope I didn't ask you a question that you already answered previously, because it is difficult to hear everything when the rain pours like it is currently. So we're going to continue with a panel on AI and digitalization, how we can help build a more sustainable food system overall. So thank you again, Claes, and let's move on with this topic.